Hi, and welcome along to Talking Transfers, the show where we talk and discuss all things Arsenal transfers. Joining me today, we've got Ella.
Hello.
You're making a debut on the show.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
All right, welcome along. And Laurie, big up to you. All right, everybody else has cleared off on holiday and stuff like that. Well, actually, James, I think he was at Wimbledon.
Oh, is he?
James at Wimbledon.
Must be nice.
over in the States. All right for some, innit?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Part-time as well.
We're here to talk about the biggest transfer news of the week. Before we get into that, though, we got to talk about this news that broke today. Massive news. That former Arsenal player Thomas Partey has been charged with. Now, we do know for quite a long time as Arsenal fans that these charges have been hanging over him for quite a while, but no charges were brought. And hence why he's been, still been able to play. But the charges now have been brought. And in the breaking news, it says that the former Arsenal footballer, Thomas Partey, has been charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. Obviously, very, very serious charges indeed. Thomas Partey, who only left Arsenal, at the end of last week, they were trying to negotiate a new deal with him. And they weren't able to come to a new deal. Maybe, and we don't know, maybe this has something to do with it. Who knows? We're never going to know, I guess. But I just wanted to get your reaction on this because this is quite incredible news to do with Thomas Partey. Ella,
Yeah.
what have you made of this? I mean, wow. So, by the way, he's going to be appearing at the Westminster Magistrates Court on Tuesday, the 5th of August, to answer these. Those will be the preliminary hearings for this.
It's a very difficult situation. Obviously, I'm glad that Arsenal kind of now have removed themselves, I guess, from having to basically be of something in this situation. Arsenal are now Thomas Partey is not really their problem anymore. Like you said, this is a very, very serious situation, and now he has been charged. It has felt a little bit inevitable. I think we almost knew that this was coming. We just maybe didn't know when. But now that he has officially been charged, we'll see what happens when he does get taken to court. But if he is found guilty, he will have to pay the price for that then.
Well, 100% he'll have to pay the price if he is guilty. I think, the thing is when you look at these cases are always really delicate. As we've heard the rumours for a long time. He's been playing at literally every ground across the UK, and there's been certain chants from the opposition fans. But I guess the situation has always been for Arsenal when he has been playing is that you're innocent until proven guilty, and at that time no charges had been brought against him, but they are now, Laurie, and but he's no longer an Arsenal player.
Yeah, and like Ella said, they're very serious charges. But it's important to remember, though, even though he's been charged, he's not guilty. He has his day in court coming, so we have to respect that. And personally, probably wouldn't be wise. It would be remiss of me to comment too much on this. Suffice to say that it's obviously a very sad situation for all concerned, and he'll get his day in court.
All right, so that's the news today, and I mean it's quite incredible news. But Thomas Partey, who was actually his contract came to an end with Arsenal on July the 1st. Now today, on the 4th of July, charged with these charges that he's going to have to answer to. So very serious. But let's get into the transfers. Just before we start talking about the rumours and that. This was another bit of news that was really surprising today about Takehiro Tomiyasu leaving Arsenal. Arsenal coming to a mutual agreement with him where he's going to leave the club. The rumour is that he actually left from last week. Of course, he's been ravaged by injuries at Arsenal. And literally last season, I think he played a game, wasn't it? Or something like that.
Something like that.
He's had recent knee surgery. He's still going to be out for about another 4 months. His contract was up at the end of next season. They've taken the decision to, come to an agreement where probably they've paid him up, and he's left to That's a real, Tomiyasu leaving. That's a surprise as well, isn't it?
It is a surprise, and I suppose it's also a shame, really. He's a player I think all Arsenal fans do admire and like, but ultimately, if you're not fit and available, then you're not really much use to the squad. And I think it's really a shame when you see players like that just kind of get struck with injury after injury after injury. And yeah, he hasn't really managed to get that game time at Arsenal. I like him as a player, but like I said, he can't really offer anything to us when he can't play. So it's a shame, but...
Yeah, likewise. I will say at the outset, I'm surprised, but I'm not shocked because, let's be honest, he's been plagued by injuries, as you guys have said. We've barely seen him in the last year. There's only so much longer Arsenal could really put up with it. And I know in the statement it was by mutual agreement. And so like you said, they probably paid up his contract. It's a great shame because he's a very talented player. Wasn't able to express himself because of the injuries. However, I do hope that... he's going to get surgery. I hope that at some point he can continue his career. It's going to take time and there's going to be a rebuilding process after the surgery. So, let's hope at some point he's able to resume his career. But in terms of his situation at Arsenal, I can perfectly understand the decision and I wish him all the best for the future.
Which is probably the reasons why we've seen, these big rumours since last week linking Arsenal to Christian Mosquera, who's the Valencia centre-back under 21 and can also play right back. At the time I was thinking, well, that's how many more centre-backs, full-backs we can have? But with Tomiyasu leaving, now this one starts to make a lot more sense. Arsenal have already put in a bid of around about £10 million, which was rejected. Valencia looking for around about 17 million. Does look like this one will get done with some sort of compromise. Is that good business for Arsenal to bring in, he's a Spanish under-21 international. He was being looked at heavily by Real Madrid and PSG. Young player. You think
I would say that it makes even more sense in the light of the news of Tomiyasu because like you said, Arteta likes versatility amongst his players and this guy can play at right back and centre back. Initially when Mosquera was being linked to the club, our default position was he's coming in as the long-term replacement for Saliba. But now hearing this news with Tomiyasu, then it makes even more sense. And we know that Mosquera is highly rated. So I think that's a good move.
Okay. Still no striker though, Ella, right?
Still no striker, Robbie.
It's still the same drama as last week. Gyökeres or Sesko. On the Gyökeres side, there's been reports this week that Arsenal have put a bid in. Then there's been reports that they haven't put a bid in with Sesko. A lot of the reports are that Arsenal are unhappy at the high price that RB Leipzig are asking for, which is said to be around up to nearly £70 million. There's the dispute with Gyökeres and Sporting, where again, Gyökeres is unhappy that they've gone back on an agreement that he said they have to let him go from the club for less than £60 million. They're saying, no, we want 70 million. When is this going to get resolved? Will it get resolved before Arsenal have their pre-season tour? Because we still don't have a striker.
Well, how long have we got till the pre-season tour starts?
Well, that's the end of this month. 3 weeks, less than that actually, from about the 21st of this month.
Listen, something could definitely happen within the next couple of weeks, but I think this situation is ongoing from not just even January when there was obviously contact around a striker, but last summer I'm sure Arsenal spoke to Victor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko, but it is a very strange situation. You can tell that Arsenal are obviously trying to get all of their other business done before kind of really addressing the attacking areas, but I think what they have done is they've done quite good shrewd business in defence, in midfield, to almost save all the funds we possibly have to then spend big in our attack. But I think in terms of Sesko and Gyökeres, look, I think both players have made it quite clear that they would like to leave. I think both players would be keen on playing for Arsenal. It seems it's now just down to the financials, but if it's a difference between 60 and 70 million pounds, then or however much it is, then I think Arsenal just need to get it done.
Who would you like to see out of the two?
I said Sesko, so I'm going to stick with it. I think.
Why?
I think Sesko is better suited to how I think Arteta wants to play. I know he's potentially less proven as a goal scorer, but I think he's got a lot of potential, and I like him as a player. I like the look of him. So yeah, I'm going to stick with it.
Okay, and you were whinging and moaning last week that we haven't got a striker in yet, and we still haven't got a striker. I have been saying to you to be patient, but is your patience completely running out now? We still haven't got this striker in. It still doesn't look any clearer at the moment, despite this week there's been a couple of times where it started to look like Gyökeres was actually going to be the one coming in, and then it's gone quiet. Then do you think you will get this done before that deadline?
You know what it is, right? So obviously I'd expressed my frustrations previously on shows like this, and I was cautioned by you to be patient and stuff like that. It's almost like that anger and frustration is subsiding, and I'm sort of leaning towards wake me up when we get there, because I've never known, well, I have known actually Arsenal to do this type of thing. But seriously, I mean, I'm bewildered. I just don't know what to really think. I still don't know which is the preferred option. I know what my preferred option is,
which
but
is?
Gyökeres all day long. All day long. Sesko is a good player. I see Sesko as one for the future. And if that's what Arsenal are gearing towards, then okay, I'm happy to run with it. But me personally, I think that the club are at the stage now where they seriously need to deliver silverware. And I think that Gyökeres is more likely to get you the goals in order to win those major honours than a Sesko would. And so I'm not really into waiting 2-3 more years. I want to see something.
Is he worth 70 million?
Season. Listen, is Wirtz worth 130 or whatever it was? Very few players are. I mean, they're worth what you're willing to pay for them, which is the simplest answer I can give. Listen, if we pay 70, 80 million, whatever it is, and he delivers a title, Champions League, or even an FA Cup, then he would have gone a long, long way to repaying a lot of that money. So
okay. For you, Sesko worth, because they want 70 million for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think though when you look at the whole transfer market, I think everything has been inflated. You look at Newcastle bidding 55 million for Elanga. The difference between 55 and 70 is not really that big. And I think for a player like Gyökeres, who is a proven goal scorer in his league, and he scored goals in the Champions League, even in the Championship he scored goals. I don't think 70 million is actually that much.
I mean, listen, we paid 105 for Declan Rice, and at the time, fans from other clubs are saying, Arsenal crazy. How can you pay 105 million for what is effectively a DM? Fast forward to this season, Arsenal fans' popular chant is, we got him for half price. So I guess it depends on how the player delivers for the club. If he comes in and bangs the goals, then people will be saying that that price was minimal.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Well, no striker yet. Despite Chelsea, they bought 2 strikers already. They even bought.
Of course they have. Of course they have.
We can't even get one.
So now you're exercising frustration.
No, you know what it is with me, right? Is that I still believe we will get a striker in before we go on pre-season, but I just want Arsenal to make a decision on it now. It's like he's.
So you're coming over to my way of thinking.
Well, listen, I just want a striker. My thing is, we do have to be patient on it. But when you're like me, where you have to talk about it every single day on Transfer Daily, right? Because they haven't made a decision. I'm sure they know who they want.
Who do you think?
They seem to be playing them off against each other. I'm just like, get it done. Just get one done.
So who would I rather? Because honestly, who
would I rather? Or what are you saying? Who
do you think the club prefer, and then who do you prefer?
I think the majority of the people at a club would rather Sesko.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm like you. I'd rather Gyökeres, but I'm happy either.
I'm the odd one out.
I just want a striker to come in. Most people now. It's funny because we've done a poll on Transfer Daily a couple of times, and most people want Sesko.
I feel like it's I think it's a
Yeah.
very 50-50 split between the Arsenal fans.
Funny enough, when we did it right at the start of the window, most people wanted Gyökeres.
Yeah.
Then it's moved to Sesko. Then I've done another poll since, and it's still Sesko. So
Interesting.
most people seem to want Sesko, which is I'm with you. I kind of want this guy that's just a goal scorer and is ready to go. Like,
I would not be mad if Arsenal signed Gyökeres.
Yeah.
Let me just say, like, I actually don't really, at this point, I'm not sure I actually really care who they sign.
Yeah.
I do think they're very different players though, but I do believe even if we bought Gyökeres, I think he would thrive at
Just
Arsenal.
get one of them done, but let's be patient and let's wait and see. That, as I said, that deadline for me is pre-season. I mean, pre-season starts the actual training, just light training in the UK, but that one, when we go to Singapore and Hong Kong, one of those two have to be on that plane. Or
I guess what's frustrating for me as well is that we've known we've needed a striker now for so long, going back to last season. You know what I mean? There's been that, you know what I mean, cry for a striker. Everybody knows we need a striker, and here we are, still in the month of July now, and we don't even know which is the main target. We're deliberating over which one it is. I would have liked to have seen us adopt something like what Liverpool, that approach, where they target a player, they put their resources into signing that player, they signed him, he's going to be ready and available from pre-season, which is what you want with your new signings. On board pre-season, bang, ready to go.
Okay, well, let's wait and see, because we've still got time, and it's still only just entered into July, when a lot of teams really start to up the amount of players that they sign. We know that Arsenal have signed Kepa. We know Zubimendi is done. We know also that Christian Norgard is done, but we're all waiting on the big ones. The other position that everybody would love to see a player come in is the left wing. Now, Laurie, talk to me about one player that seems to be on the list that Arsenal are very interested in. I know you love him as a player, and that's Noni Madueke.
As soon as you said that last bit, I know you love him. I knew that there was a sting in the tail. Now listen, man, I'm going to put my cards absolutely on the table. I have been slightly disrespectful to him by calling him Nancy Madueke because of that ridiculous bonnet that he wears on his head. But anyway, we're going to move away from that. Listen, in all seriousness, this guy is a decent player. But where I object strongly to this signing is that, listen, if we're at that stage at Arsenal now where we're trying to put the second places and all that stuff behind us, we're trying to attain a level whereby we're winning trophies on a regular basis, we need to be signing players, to me, that's going to enhance Arsenal, take us to that next level. I simply do not see Madueke as that guy. He's a decent player, don't get me wrong. But I don't see him as that next level player. And the other thing I would ask you, Robbie, and Ella as well, but you probably got an opinion on this too. If Madueke was that good, why are Chelsea prepared to sell it?
Too many players.
Yeah.
Chelsea have just... How many attacking players?
I know, but if he was that good, surely they'd want to keep hold of him and let one of the others go.
They've just bought in Gittins. They've, like you said, they've got Jarrett. I don't know where they're going to play all these players they've got, but...
I don't think they know.
Yeah. Do you like Madueke?
I agree with Laurie a lot in what he said, because I think I like him, and when I watch him for Chelsea, I think, yeah, he's a good player, but like Laurie said, we want players that are going to make us level up. He would improve our squad in the sense that it would be another attacking player, but for me, it's not quite the signing that I think a lot of Arsenal fans want us to make, particularly if, I don't know what the fee that Chelsea are even talking about.
About 50 million they'd want, and
I think that's a lot.
It's Fabrizio Romano was reporting the other day that there was a new round of talks for Madueke. Nothing advanced yet in terms of club-to-club approach or direct negotiation. So something that Arsenal are talking about internally, but I can say it would not be a popular signing. We did a poll the other day on Transfer Daily, and it's like nearly 90% said no, they don't want him. And that's quite overwhelming. And I agree with you, Ellie. He's a good player. He's a very good player, as a matter of fact. I saw him the other day when he was playing for England. He looked really good. But We've got a right winger in Saka. You've got Ethan Wanieri, who's, I just don't see, he's versatile. He can play on the left as well, but go and get a proper left winger. And that's another Chelsea player. I don't really want to see Noni Madueke as the option. Somebody like a Rodrygo, on the other hand,
now we're talking.
That would be exciting.
Now we're talking.
Rodrygo, yet again, did not play for Real Madrid in the Club World Cup. That's 2 games in a row where he's not even had 1 minute on the pitch. The first game that he played in, he came on as a sub. It looks like he could go, you know what I mean? There's a lot of rumours coming out of Madrid that they would let him go if the price is right. He's not said he wants to go. He posted before the Club World Cup a picture of him in training, and he wrote happy on it. I don't know if he's happy now. And he's not been figuring. That's despite the fact that Mbappe's not even been starting he was out. So it's like the writing's on the wall for him, isn't it? Like, could Arsenal get this one done? This would be about £77 million as it stands. I reckon that, Real Madrid won about 90 million euros for him, so about £77 million. Could Arsenal get this done? And would you be happy to see a signing like Rodrygo come in? Is that a dial mover for you?
I'd be very happy if Arsenal signed Rodrygo. I think the thing about this transfer is I think it's got to be quite player-led. And as of right now, like you said, he's not getting minutes really at the Club World Cup, which I think is strange. I'm trying not really to read into that, but it is nevertheless a bit odd. But I think if Rodrygo is to come to Arsenal, I think he's got to make it quite clear that he wants to leave. Otherwise, I'm not really sure that he is going to leave Real Madrid for us unless he really wants to come to the Premier League and play for Arsenal. But for me, that is a serious upgrade on both Martinelli and Trossard. And so that's a signing that I think we can all agree would instantly improve.
Would you sell Martinelli, say, for instance, right? So there's been rumours that Al Nassr would be willing to pay £70 million for Martinelli, right? Obviously, you'd have to want to go. But would you sell Martinelli and replace him with Rodrygo?
For that money, you can't say no. I don't think the club can say no, because £70 million is a lot, and that almost basically funds the transfer. So, we're swapping Martinelli out for Rodrygo. That's a serious bit of business, I think.
Right.
Yeah, again, I think Ella makes a really good point. I mean, 70 odd million for Martinelli, you can't really turn that down, to be honest. I mean, Martinelli is a good player, but he's not fulfilled the level of expectation that a lot of the fans had for him. And if you can get that kind of money for him, I think it's good business, especially when you're looking to fund the likes of a Rodrygo. And I would also like to echo the sentiments that Ella expressed, because I expressed those same concerns last week when we did the show, and I was saying that with Rodrygo, I just get the feeling that he'd preferred to stay in Spain. Okay, his situation, it appears to all intents and purposes that it's one of them cases, isn't it, where a new manager's come in, he's probably looked at him and think he's not really my type of player, which means that I would expect him to be on the market at some point. But I don't know if Rodrygo really is invested in coming to Arsenal. When you've got other players, and I guess we're going to talk about Eze and people like that you could sign, if it came down to a straight choice between Eze and Rodrygo, as much as I really rate Rodrygo, and I agree with Ella that he's a needle mover and all the rest of it, I'd probably go for Eze. But listen, in isolation, if you're asking me, would I take Rodrygo? Yes, of course.
I mean, listen, you've got no other options really in Spain, because if he leaves Real Madrid, he ain't gonna be able to go Barcelona, and he's probably not gonna be able to go Atletico as well. We don't like Real Madrid either, so it probably will be the Premier League. It's gonna be really interesting to watch the developments. We won't get a clearer picture until after the Club World Cup finishes next week. Also, as we're talking about left wingers, Arsenal winger Leandro Trossard has just signed with new representatives. DH Sports and Entertainment Agency are now representing him. That can always be seen as a sign of a player that's looking for a new destination. So could it be Trossard's the one to leave? He hasn't signed a new deal yet with Arsenal, and his current contract's up at the end of next season. Then this was interesting as well. Nico Williams, Arsenal really interested in. He was their number one left wing target. Then Barcelona came. Bayern Munich were very interested in him as well. Then Barcelona came in, went really public with it, and said about how he's coming to them, their sporting director, Deco, in true Barcelona and Real Madrid style. This is how they do it, very public. Real Madrid tried to do the same thing with Zubimendi. Yes, we want him, and he says he wants to come. And today we find out that Nico Williams renewed his contract at Atletico Bilbao till 2035. That's a long-term contract of 10 years. Now, apparently he's going to have a release clause that increases his current one by more than 50%. His current one's about 55 million, so it would be a release clause of over 100 million. Of course, Athletic Bilbao were really unhappy with Barcelona for their public way they were trying to go about getting this signing done, and went to the La Liga, and said to them, listen, how are they even going to be able to register these players, because they ain't got no money, and they've been struggling to register players. But now Nico Williams is definitely staying. So that means that's another player that Arsenal are not going to be able to get in that left wing position. So the Rodrygo thing is not far-fetched, nor is the Madueke one, unfortunately. But on Eze, very interesting about Eberechi Eze, Laurie, right, is that the talk is that they don't want to bring Eze in to play on the left wing. They want to bring him in as attacking midfielder. If they buy Eze, that will be also with a left winger.
Yeah, listen, that make perfect sense. I mean, yeah, Eze's preferred position is the 10, and he's excelled in that position for Crystal Palace, and he would be a welcome addition to Arsenal because, you know, let's be honest, Martin Odegaard didn't have his best season, and you do need options in that position. I know people have spoken about Wanyeri playing in the 10, but primarily he's a winger. So we could improve in that position, and somebody like Eze would be perfect. And of course, he can play left wing as well. So yeah, that would be the ideal solution for me.
Eze?
Love Eze. Love Eze. I really rate him, and I've been screaming for Arsenal to sign him. I think he would be a perfect Arsenal player. I do think it's weird though, because you're right in saying that his natural position is kind of in the 10, but then where does he kind of really fit in? Because you're not really going to drop Odegaard, are you? That's the thing. I'm not really sure where he fits into our starting 11. What do you think?
That's very true. Like, well, if Odegaard, it's serious competition for Odegaard, that's number one. He can play on that left wing, as we know. He can play as a attacking midfielder next to Odegaard as well, if they want to do that. I mean, for me, I'm happy with this link. I mean, he would offer options. That's one thing that Arsenal really lacked last year was options. I think he'd be a great option because he's a player that can start or come off the bench. You know what I mean? Like, and he's a player of real quality.
Premier League tested and proven.
Yeah.
And some of his attributes are different to Odegaard. So, for example, listen, and I'm an admirer of Odegaard. I want to put that on the record. However, couple of things I've noticed with Odegaard is he's less likely to shoot from outside the box, whereas Eze will shoot from outside the box and does it with aplomb. Set pieces, Eze's really good at. You know what I mean? So they're different players. So they could play in the same team. Eze could play a bit further left. You know what I mean? It's an exciting addition to the squad, man. I think that's a no-brainer. We should go for Eze without any shadow of a doubt.
What I do like about Eze is just how creative he is as a player, and I think sometimes last season we maybe lacked that, just creative spark. He creates and then also he finishes things off. He's a clinical player, so I think for him to be playing for Arsenal, I think he would just slot perfectly into our team.
And I think as well, he looks to be in his physical and mental prime right now. The confidence with which he's playing. I mean, look at the end of the season with Palace. He was scoring like every game. He inspired them to that FA Cup victory. He was brilliant. So, yeah, now is the time to get him. 100%. Okay.
If you've only... But I'm going to ask both of you this question, right? So, you go to the owner, he says, right, the budget says we can only buy one. So you choose Eze or Rodrygo.
It's a horrible question. It's horrible because I'm almost thinking what position, we say Eze can play left wing, we know he can, but who's better suited to that position? Because I think that's really where we need to improve. I would love a number 10. I think that would be a great addition to the squad, but in that left wing position, I feel Rodrygo is better suited. But I don't want to decide between the two, Robbie. I want both of them.
You have got to decide. You can only have one. Funds are limited, right? You've asked for the big signing. I'm giving you the money to buy one, and one only. These are the challenges that managers face. So I'm putting that scenario to you.
I think actually I think I'd go Eze because I actually think he's probably slightly more adaptable in our team than Rodrygo, because I think he can play multiple positions for us. And like Laurie was saying, I really like the fact that he's Premier League proven. I think that says a lot for him. And the fact that he scores in big games against big clubs, I really like that. I think he's a big game player. So I'm actually going to go Eze.
Yeah, I would go Eze. Listen, Rodrygo is a quality player, but if you put a gun to my head, which obviously I hope you don't, then I would go Eze. Premier League, battle tested and ready, versatile, has the right mentality. You know what you're getting. He's in his prime. It's got to be Eze for me.
Yeah, I have to ask you both this last question, right? Is there a player that you've seen out there that are not linked to Arsenal that you think Arsenal should be trying to buy?
That's a good question.
Mbappe?
Realistic. Realistic.
A player that hasn't been linked to Arsenal.
Hasn't been linked with Arsenal, but you feel...
That is available, or...
That is available that you think is gettable. A player that you think is gettable.
That is a very good question.
Yeah.
Everyone's been linked to Arsenal at this point, at some point in time.
I mean, to me, like someone like a Victor Osimhen springs to mind. I mean, that's another striker that's out there available.
It's a weird one, though. There's Victor Osimhen. I feel like he was very sought after at a moment in time, and then now it's like kind of gone radio silent on him, and I can't really explain why that is. We don't really know.
Scores goals though.
He does score goals. He does
score goals. One thing I would say about Osimhen, I know it's a bit of recency bias on my part, but it seems that every time I've seen him play, I've been less than impressed by him, which is why he's not really figured in my
Morgan Rogers.
Yeah, Morgan Rogers is a quality player.
I like Morgan Rogers a lot.
Yeah.
Ademola Lookman.
Not somebody that came up on my radar, but he's a good player though. I'd rather him than Mad Wakey, I'll tell you that.
I agree with that. I do like Lookman. I think he's definitely got potential, but when I look at us being linked with Eze, it's almost just like every other player just goes out of my mind. I'm like tunnel vision for Eze right now, especially because we're seeing like Spurs links, and I was genuinely thinking if he goes to Spurs, I'm going to be livid, because we all know he's a quality player. Yeah. So
that's a very good point.
And he was at Arsenal before.
He was. There was a kid said he cried for a week when they let him go.
We must bring him home. We must
bring him home. Well, listen, that's
another factor as well. He's got something to prove. You know what I mean? So that's often a big factor.
That's what Sterling said.
Well, yeah. I think they're very different stages in their careers, though, to be honest.
Anyway, those are the transfers that we've discussed today. Want to hear from you guys in the comments as well. Let us know. I want to ask you guys that question. Is there a player out there, it might have been linked to them, but a player that you think, why are Arsenal not going for this player? He's gettable. He would make Arsenal better. He's the sort of player that, if you can think of a player like that out there, I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let us know in the comments who that player is. I want to thank you, Ella. Thank you very
Robbie.
much. You made a brilliant debut on the show.
Oh, thanks,
we'll
Robbie.
definitely be back.
I appreciate it.
Unfortunately for you, Laurie, you won't. No, you've done brilliantly as usual.
Right.
Anyway,
no, I always enjoy talking about these.
Yeah,
it's somewhat therapeutic because we keep talking and nothing keeps happening.
Yeah, we can get it off our
chest. Let's hope we can talk it into existence.
Well, let's hope we can talk that striker into existence, because we're all so desperate to see. It's you know what, they keep going on for so long, probably getting, and we just be like, yeah, and it closes. But let's wait and see. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget we're here every single day with Transfer Daily right throughout the summer, and also any breaking news at all around any transfers, you will hear it here first. All you got to do is subscribe and you won't miss a thing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.